Hey yo, Alisha here with Terradrift. And if you've been hanging around here for very long at all, really, you're probably aware of how we feel about coolers and ice. We don't like it. Having to fill coolers with ice, that is. It's stupid. You spend $3 to $6 on a bag of frozen water, a plastic bag that's almost guaranteed not to be recycled, just FYI. Dump it all over your food and drinks that will definitely get soggy, and then have to drain out all the water in a few hours and start the whole process over again. Like I said, stupid. I don't enjoy it. Sure, we've come up with tricks and tips for avoiding it over the years, our favorites being to freeze water in reusable water bottles to use as basically ice packs, or fill up wide mouth bottles with ice at gas station soda fountains. But these solutions obviously have their limits. Namely, the ice still melts and these methods don't actually keep your stuff cold for that long. So, whatever. The solution? An electric cooler that basically functions as a portable fridge. Duh. Now, we've tested these before, namely the Dometic CFX 100, and totally dig them. Just plug them into your car or a portable power bank, which you can often charge via solar, by the way, and you're good to go. Cold food and drinks stay cold without getting soggy or necessitating the endless, repetitive purchase of overpriced frozen water. So, huzzah! We recently got our hands on the Chill Electric Cooler from GoSun to see how it performed. How did we feel about the cooler as a whole? Meh, but that meh does have an asterisk, so let's get into it. For starters, this thing weighs in at 28 pounds and has a 40-liter capacity. It comes with a DC power cable, an AC adapter, and power bank, plus 2 bungee cords. The brushless compressor runs on 12 or 24 volt and draws 35 to 45 watts. The display on top lets you control the temperature from -4 degrees to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and there are even battery-saving modes if you're plugged into batteries, obviously. As for what we thought of the cooler, it performed admirably. It did, in fact, keep all of our stuff cold. I kept a bottle of almond milk in there for almost a week, and by the time I finished it, it hadn't gone off. So, win? That's the almond milk hadn't gone off, not the cooler. Anyway, we plugged it into the car while we were driving and set it to full power, and it chilled the cooler from 66 to 38 degrees in about 30 minutes. Timing that was pretty much on par with the Dometic we tested, if I remember correctly. When we were in town exploring, we plugged it into our large Goal Zero Yeti 500X, which lasted a whole day before needing to be recharged. The power bank the cooler comes with, though, it only lasted about 3 or 4 hours, give or take. Enough for a leisurely picnic or afternoon in the park, but not exactly long enough for an overnight camping trip or something like that. There was plenty of room inside for all the food and snacks we brought with us on a week-long road trip. A road trip that consisted almost entirely of camping. It also held in the chill pretty well. When we left it unplugged overnight, it was only 15 degrees warmer than we had left it. I mean, still enough for food to go bad, but better than expected, honestly. On the other hand, there were a few things we didn't love. Starting with the fact that it looks like an electric cooler that was designed about 30 years ago and never got updated. It's not pretty, is what I'm saying. But aesthetics aside, we had a few additional qualms with the Chill. For starters, this is not a sturdy, serious, expertly crafted, heavy-duty cooler. I mean, compared to a Dometic cooler or an ARB0 or what have you, this feels kind of cheap. I mean, it is cheap from a price standpoint anyway. While the Dometic 45 liter is over $1,000, the GoSun Chill is only $699, making it a significantly more affordable option. We've even seen it on sale for $549. That said, it doesn't feel like it's gonna take a beating. The plastic over the compressor felt soft under just a little pressure, and the lid doesn't lock, and the materials just don't feel terribly rugged. I mean, that may not matter if you're not using and abusing your cooler on a regular basis, but I'm just putting it out there. You gotta know. Then there are the wheels. They are awfully small. While pulling it over uneven terrain when we were heading to a swimming hole, big roots and rocks just jostled the cooler all over the place. And since they're hard plastic with just sort of like a thin rubbery outer layer, they don't really soften the blow. Also, and this might be the most annoying feature, the handles on the sides are way too shallow. If the cooler was full and heavy, they were almost almost entirely useless if we needed to pick up the cooler and carry it upstairs or over a curb. The handles really need to be flip out handles to be useful. I mean, this is a heavy cooler without anything even in it. They were also awkwardly placed for even weight distribution, as in the shallow handles are in the middle of the sides, but most of the cooler's weight is in the back. So the whole thing just tips precariously when you pick it up. And speaking of tipping precariously, if you've ever moved a fridge, you are probably aware that you cannot tip it over. Generally speaking, refrigerant and compressors and things like that, if you tip them past about 30-45 degrees, you can mess up the whole thing and it may never work again. Imagine our surprise when we got this cooler and there was a warning that said you can't tip it past 45 degrees. That seems like a problem because it's a cooler with a handle and wheels. It's literally designed to be tipped so that you can pull it. And honestly, 45 degrees is not that serious of an incline. You could very easily tip this cooler to 45 degrees while rolling it down a hill. And I gotta say, I do not recall ever reading any warning on that Dometic cooler we tested regarding 45 degree tipping angles. So again, that seems like an engineering flaw to me. And there are pockets on the cooler on the back for things like power cables and the included bungee cords and the power bank. And we love those. We're glad that the cooler has pockets. That's cool. But they absolutely shouldn't be on the back. They just flop around and threaten and often succeed in spilling the stuff inside out as you are pulling the cooler. Plus the bottoms of the pouches often drag on the ground while you're pulling it. I'm just saying, while they're a very handy feature, pockets on the front probably would have been a better design choice. The DC outlet in the power bank was a little bit janky too, though when the cooler was plugged into the car's DC outlet, it was fine. That's especially annoying because you're supposed to use the DC cable when plugged into the included backup battery or any battery powered device like a car, but the cable wouldn't stay firmly plugged into the power bank. That tells me that's maybe an issue with the power bank? Just a few bumps were enough to dislodge the plug and cause the cooler to turn off. You also have to pay attention to the cooler's power settings. There are low, medium, and high settings with battery saving modes, and if you aren't in the right one, the cooler may just turn itself off and give you an error message because it can't pull enough power. You'll figure it out, I'm just saying. As for sustainability, I had high hopes, but honestly, pretty much the only thing that makes it sustainable is that you can recharge the backup battery with a compatible solar panel. Now, the brand talks on their website about donating coolers and funds to disaster relief organizations and planting trees, but I don't see a lot of specifics or links backing up a lot of those claims, and that always makes me a little dubious. Yeah, a few fairly significant design flaws in our opinion, and this cooler is not nearly as sustainable as we had hoped. On the upside, I do appreciate that it comes with bungees plus really sturdy bungee attachment points. The ones on the front are plastic, and while they seem solid, there is the potential they'll break at some point, but it's still very convenient to have that feature. Plus there's a bottle opener on the back. Brilliant! There are also 4 shallow cup holders on the lid. No, they're not enough to fully secure your drinks, but they'll at least keep them from sliding off accidentally. The telescoping handle does seem pretty stable too, and we do really like that the cooler has wheels. Even if they're not the best wheels. Because honestly, most other electric coolers don't have any wheels at all. So while we would have appreciated more robust wheels, we are glad we don't have to hand carry the cooler everywhere. It does make it more feasible to take it to picnics in the park or around the campsite or some such. It's also a really great size for like road trips and day-to-day stuff, I mean. For 2 to 4 people, perfect. Basically, while I feel like I ragged on this cooler like a lot, it definitely serves a purpose. I mean, the wheels may not be the most robust for off-roading, but at least it has wheels. That's a big win. It may not feel as well built and solid as more expensive electric coolers, but it's also not as expensive as many other electric coolers, meaning more people are going to have access to it. And while it may not be a big name brand, it does what it says it'll do. It keeps stuff cold. And at the end of the day, I guess that's what really matters. Maybe I'm just a pushover, I don't know. Do I have complaints? Sure. Am I glad I had it on a recent road trip? Yes. Yes, I am. I guess that's all that really matters. So if all my flip-flopping has made you want to consider an electric cooler for yourself, you can go check out this one at the link below. But before you head over and check out the GoSun Chill for yourself, we'd be like totally thrilled if you rang the bell and clicked subscribe. Your support of our little channel literally means the world to us. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up while you're at it. Then follow us on all the social channels. We're at Terradrift on Insta, Facebook, and Twitter. Then check us out on terradrift.com and watch a few more Terradrift's videos while you're at it. Then get out there, keep your almond milk and hummus chilled to a perfect temperature, and wander on. This power bank is also a flashlight, BT dubs. And it can charge your phone, 3 phones actually. We got 3 USB things, which is cool. So you can use it on its own too. You don't have to have a cooler to use the handy dandy backup battery. It is heavy though, so I'm just saying. Sorry cooler that I ragged on you so much. I mean, you're a workhorse. You do your thing. I mean, can't say anything about that. Could you be better? Yeah, you could be better. But couldn't we all? Couldn't we all?